On this edition, it's a Brainfeeder affair. Long-time affiliate and Brainfeeder rep Paul Peabody sits down with beat scene veteran Teebs to discuss everything from the importance of collaboration to becoming a father. Teebs has just released Annika, his fourth album on Brainfeeder and his first in 5 years. The record features artists such as Sudan Archives and Panda Bear. Peabody's debut album, Careworm, will be released on Brainfeeder later this month. If you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to rate and subscribe.
Hello, Ninja Tune podcasters. This is Peabody from Brainfeeder with other Brainfeeder comrade Teebs. Hello, my lord.
How's it going?
What's poppin', man? How you doing?
I'm hanging. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be on the Ninja Tune podcast. First time, baby. Yeah. Super excited about this.
And it is beautiful out here in Los Angeles. It doesn't feel like fall, but it is, apparently. They tell me it is. As I said, out here in Los Angeles, getting it in. Talking to Teebs about his past, present, and future. Mostly the future as we look towards his new record coming out October 25th. Annika. How you feeling?
I'm feeling, very nervous and very excited to share. Yeah, it's always a crazy experience, but yeah, I'm feeling really good.
Yep.
It's the fourth record I'm doing with them. Yeah, it's pretty cool to put records out, to finish up a project. You know, that thing was really where my mental is at. It's like getting something done and being able to look at it. That part feels great.
Yeah, completion is it's a good thing to feel.
You could finally start to understand what you were doing, right? Like there's something you can look at. That's like the bonus of having a record. It's actual, like a little physical thing you can use to understand what was going on instead of just your memory.
Yeah, totally.
It's really cool.
It's a good stamp of history, but essentially, and it is something where it becomes like, I don't know, I always think of it too, like it's a chapter. A little bit of insight into something. Depending upon the concept or whatnot, it could be as personal or non-personal, but it is a chapter. It's a moment of time that's basically now encapsulated.
Yeah, I try to. I usually always do keep it personal too, I think. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just music, but yeah, I usually base most concepts. So like with this record, a lot of it's dealing with family and just personal awareness of how present I am most of the time, or not, Yeah. So it's a great thing, great tool to reflect off stuff. Or what you're going through or what life was happening around you.
Yeah, it's cathartic. Definitely. It feels really good to release sometimes that type of the emotions you're going through into an expression that's just only you can really get it if you really think about it, but then also it can relate to the masses at the same time. The creation is so personal, but at the same time we want it to be relatively connective.
Of course, there's always a thought of, I guess that kind of comes more towards the editing phases of things, when you're like making it more tangible. It's like, well, what does this mean to everyone around you?
Yeah.
Like community mainly first, and then you keep on widening up that scale.
with this record, did you have a collection of songs you kind of just went into, you're like, oh, made a bunch and then said, these songs I kind of think for now, or did you make it with like concept in mind when making these tracks, this is going to go towards the record? Like how did you conceive it, basically?
I think the idea of putting the album together started with the work with this guitarist, Thomas Stankiewicz. Mm-hmm. He's an Icelandic kid, and we met years back around the last album release. And once we started recording is when I kind of, and just listening back to those demos is when I kind of started realizing, like, okay, I think I'm going to base the record off some of these moments, and they're more, how to put it, I guess, for lack of a better word, it's like a sensitive, more, for me, it helped me really reflect on a lot of things I was getting into, like with having a kid or, moving homes, figuring out what it means to be a parent and pay for things, just all this adult kind of changing moments in my life. Is those songs started it, and then after that fact, it was just working towards that goal and being more collaborative and bringing people the ideas that I wanted them to think about before writing, say, lyrics or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you had vocalists for the first time, or really, I mean, maybe not for the first time, but like the first time in almost in a more of a prominent role vocally.
Yeah, for the full record.
Mm-hmm. And did you have specific people you knew you wanted to talk to and like link up with, or was it kind of, again, like an organic thing, like whatever falls into place kind of thing?
It was a bit organic. It was mainly people I've been in conversation with over the process of working on the record, and then them happening to be vocalists. And we'll be talking about regular things, like, again, since parenting is so new to me, this might come up over and over again.
Yeah.
But, these kind of like asking questions, like say Panda Bear, that was more about me realizing I'm about to become a dad, and then talking to him because he has a few kids, and then kind of going through that process of him calming me down every once in a while. I was freaking out, and then having to have music that I felt would work with him, and then once he sent back the track, it was kind of like, okay, like lyrically this is perfect for the environment I'm trying to lay out.
Yeah.
And that kind of happened quite often with each vocalist.
Sugar cube, clever thing. You might find darker days. Mix it up with the boring kind, generate two like mine, spring a leak. Tripping on the social climb, getting line. Who gets bent doesn't break. Yeah.
Daydream Mossy was more like a random connect, but that was probably the only thing that was outside of the ordinary.
How'd you guys link up?
Through mutual people from different companies. He's now doing his work with Interscope, I believe, but he was working through Cobalt, which is like another company. Mm-hmm. And when I was talking to that group, they were mentioning that they have a new kid that is really into my work, and we should try linking up. And it became this whole thing where I really don't like meeting new people, but enough people were kind of like yelling at me to just give it a shot. And so I tried, and we sat down together, and yeah, one session, it was actually really, really good. And that kind of opened up my eyes more to the idea of just collaborating and not being so closed off to what I know, you know. But yeah.
Dropped out, moved in, let them drive. Tried them all, they left me feeling empty in the end. Living in a dead-end life. Universe had something so much better on its mind. Driving on the ocean side. Flowing like the water when you stumbled in my life. Feels so good, it feels so right. Slowing down a roller coaster, let's enjoy the ride. Dropped out, moved in, let them drive. Tried them all, they left me feeling empty in the end. Living in a dead-end life. Universe has something so much better on its mind. Driving on the ocean side. Flowing like the water when you stumble in my life. Feels so good, it feels so right.
And do you think that, like, I mean, you might have just answered this in a different sense, but, like, have you tried your hand at, like, writing your own lyrics yet? Or has this been just kind of, like, letting the person kind of experience it, maybe giving them a bit of insight as to what the record's about? Or just totally let them do their own thing? Like,
It's mainly letting them loose with concept in mind.
yeah, totally.
I've definitely always been down to help. Like I'll put in, if someone's like looking for words here or there, then I'll definitely help. But I tend to try to let them focus on what they're doing and getting it all out so I can kind of go in and edit, produce, whatever.
Yeah.
Work with it and then send it back over if we're not going to be in the same room after my work is done. And then seeing like, okay, you know, how do we continue this?
It's pretty crazy. It's a good feeling when you send somebody something, almost just kind of like, you know, bright eyes, and like, yeah, mess with it, see what you feel, and they do come back with something that's where it's like, wow, this is exactly what, you know, I was thinking of, without even trying to give them too much guidance. It's definitely a weird feeling when people can connect to that much, and you're like, I didn't even think it was that closely resembling that type of feeling for everybody.
Right.
And then, how long did it take you to do the record? I know, obviously, it's, you know, you said the first song started a while ago.
Yeah, the first song was probably 2015 at the end of that year. I would say, though, everything got really serious around the beginning of 2018, but by then I had some of the production already done and people in mind vocally that would sound right. And it was just about, like, connecting a nice string of thought for all the record or all the tracks before approaching more people, and you know.
Is there, into the sequencing, I mean, this might be a random question, but for sequencing in this, is there a specific story if you were to tell somebody that you can see go from track 1 to track so on, or is it kind of just like a ebb and flow of just kind of thought processes going through tracks? I don't know if that question makes sense or not.
Yeah, no, it's more of just a process of making sure that songs flow together. I think my biggest struggle was getting the 7 vocalists and 2 instrumentalists and having all those different sounds and ideas fit in line, you know, without taking away anything away from any song, without like losing that's more of like a structural thing, I think, is how I set that up. And I really wanted since the first song I did with my buddy Thomas was the most important and the longest and the slowest, I wanted to put that right in the beginning to kind of like palate cleanse, and then walk through the record with all these voices kind of poking at one idea.
Sound bad?
Yeah, definitely the first one. You know, that's kind of the whole point of the record, and then there's these great moments that follow. But yeah.
So what, if there is a meaning to the first song, and I know it's obviously the record, we know what the record kind of means now, but what does the first song mean to you?
To me personally, it's just.
And what is the name of the song? It's Adam's song, right?
It's Adam's song. So Adam is my daughter. That's like her acronym from her name. That's what we kind of call her here and there. And so I guess on that layer, it's just something for her. Some like, and then personally, what it did for me is just kind of clear my head. I'm like, without really being like, I don't like the idea of like escaping, but more so just, you know, being pulled outside of yourself so you can kind of think about yourself without running away from yourself. So like to me, that's what that song is kind of trying to say. It's like, shit will be okay, so just focus on what you want to do at this moment, you know. And this little brief 7-minute break for me, I feel like isn't that much of a sacrifice to then continue your day or get into what you're up to.
It's like a lullaby, it seems like, to a degree.
Yeah, I can
But like
definitely see it
a meditative one, if you will. Like, so, you know, I mean, I feel like there's that childlike part of that song, but it feels like for the average person's day.
Yeah, it can pass as a lullaby. I mean,
And your daughter obviously was a huge inspiration for the record. Is there like does she have a favorite song on the record? Or what does she like jam out with your stuff?
yeah, she's a big dancing queen. She loves pretty much all the songs, but I feel like it's just due to repetition.
Yeah.
You know, she's memorized all the lyrics. She likes the song after her. She doesn't know that it's after her, but she enjoys that. She likes, I don't know, I can't tell. She can literally, the 1 second in, she knows the track. It's one of those songs.
Crazy.
But she's heard it so much. I think it's just good that she doesn't quite hate it yet, you know?
Yeah.
Because she's definitely told me to turn other stuff off. So it's a good sign.
So when you're making music in general, do you kind of ever get like a vibe, just like kind of watch her and see how she vibes to the song and just kind of like this is a good one?
At first, yeah, I did, but you know,
Can't trust
kids,
that.
you know, they like Baby Shark, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, that has some deep, you know, there's a reason to it, but it's like,
This was a banger.
she just likes raw energy, really, too, though. Like, if you throw any kind of quick rhythm together and she'll turn, you know, and be
That's
like,
cool.
what are you up to? What are you going to do with that? Yeah.
Interesting.
So I don't trust it, really. She's more open than I am.
And the name of the record, and what's the name of it? Like, how do you explain the name of the record? Is there a definition behind it and whatnot, meaning behind it?
Yeah, so, like, again, trying to be grounded. I'm trying to find my space and understand what's important to me without being selfish. You know, just really trying to figure out how to carry myself and what the rest of my life might mean to myself. And then I found the word impermanence, and I was like, this is a great word. Like, nothing lasts forever. And there's this whole idea of, you know, you're kind of nothing, you're everything, you're just kind of being. And then I was just reading that and understanding that a little bit more for my own purposes of getting through life. And then that's when I found the word Annika, and I was like, okay, this is a much more serious word. And it does relate to like Buddhism and a few, or one of the doctrines that they follow if you want to be more spiritual with their teaching. and it also relates to, it's basically the same word. And it's all about the idea of not holding on to anything, just being very present, because everything is kind of like comes and goes. Everything's gonna die at some point, and you got to be okay with this like cycle. And so I thought that was really cool, and how that was kind of like a bigger umbrella to other things I really believed in. Like, you know, Japanese have this wabi-sabi approach to like a philosophy, like art and life, and so there's all these little things I was picking up all kind of lead to this bigger umbrella. So I just felt like it would be right to call the record this and continue to try to flow with what I'm trying to understand when it comes to basically the word impermanence. Yeah.
And then do you think of that title like kind of before, during, or at the very end of the...
So somewhere in the middle. I had a break because my hard drive exploded.
Oh yeah.
And I spent a good 3 months crying and just waiting around, and you know, but now I'm not thinking about the music, you know, thinking more about like visually and what kind of language, English or whatever kind of language I'm going to use to portray these songs, or if I get them back. And yeah, so I had time to do that.
And you got them back?
I got most of them back.
How many did you lose? Quite a bit? Or?
I lost quite a bit of just raw material, so some songs were still in sequence order but without any of the sounds, so I had to refigure out a few things, and then or just re-record them.
Yeah.
And then a lot of other things were just gone. Maybe 3 songs I really liked, about 8 songs I wasn't sure about.
Damn.
And a blank amount of material that I just don't know if I lost or not, you know, over the years.
Yeah.
But, you know, that kind of stuff, I guess, happens. Now I'm more prepared.
Part of the process.
Yeah, really.
Story.
Really rough part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure. And 3 months it took to just retrieve whatever you could.
Yeah, 3 months, some money spent, and then you got the hard drive back. And then it was like another 3 months of sulking and trying to find the energy to be in those places again, or reinvent the places I was at.
Yeah, it's hard to go back into a moment in time and try to reinvent that.
It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah,
it's definitely ridiculous. It's a bit of a fabrication that we don't expect to have to do. But if we really care about it, you got to do it.
Yeah, find a new purpose, like a new way to do that.
Yeah, repurpose.
Yeah.
Using scraps to make gold.
Why you care what other people are thinking? They don't got nothing to do with our feelings. We all projecting our inner demons. We all protecting our inner reasons. You have doubts, and your doubts make me doubt you. You have doubts. My girl heart says butterflies mean fight or flight. When it's right, you feel calm. You have doubts. We can live in this bubble long as we like. Till our seedling has grown.
And then you're doing, I mean, at this point, this might even come out by the time this even drops, but the music video you're working on right now, I'm sure we could talk about that a bit. If you want to give a little insight as to what where your travel's been taking you.
Yeah, that was a really crazy project. It was the song that the video is for is Adam's song, and the main collaborator, Miguel is also on this, but the main collaborator is Thomas, and he lives in Iceland, and we worked on it. We made that song, the demo, in London at a show, randomly met out there, decided to make a new demo day of show, and that was the song, one of the songs we made, and we were kind of tripping out on how you can do stuff like that nowadays. And I remember just thinking it would be great to kind of start with that layer, like portraying how special it is that you can travel, you can make things kind of happen without any, it doesn't take a whole lot. So, yeah, we shot in Iceland because he's from Iceland, and I wanted to kind of have somebody that was more representative of myself, so maybe someone of color, and that's kind of like what we focused on, is having as a first layer someone of color in Iceland, because you don't really see that too often, and I felt like that kind of summed up on a raw scale like what the song was, because it's like 3-4 rhythms. It's just used a lot in like East African music, which I kind of was conscious of and hoping to use that more often. And then his chords that he's using I felt very close to his heart and derived from his upbringing, like his lifestyle living out there. So I wanted to reflect that by using the landscape, kind of representing his structure, and then the rhythm is the movement of the person in the landscape. And so we made that be the base, and shot out there, and then shot in LA, and it's just been a crazy cool process. Like, I've never done a video, so it's kind of like, seeing that concept start to develop as I talk to my buddy Phil, who's took on the role of directing, and helping him, or basically him helping me further develop, so it's more and more of a concept that ties close to the album and whatnot. And it's just been fun seeing the guys shoot the video, learning what a Steadicam was like. Like you get it, but you don't ever really think about it until you see it. So it's been really fun. I mean, now it's kind of on its last steps to getting completed.
How long did you guys shoot out there?
2 weeks. We drove through the whole bottom half of like a smiley face of the island of Iceland, including going to a different little island, and just, it's a small place. You can get to the other side in maybe 7 hours. So it's like driving around California in a sense. And yeah, it was a trip. It's like a trip, man. It was just, like camping, but Airbnb and camping and just driving long hours, morning and nights, like early mornings, just to get that right light. And
did I see this shot on film, or?
Yeah, all 16mm film. So yeah, it's the raw is super gorgeous.
That's awesome.
I'm still literally kind of like waiting for it to get to color. That's like the last hurrah.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Carry on, my friend. The road you rode has no end. Just leave the bombs for dead. But don't forget what they did for you.
So, this might be too advantageous to even talk about, but future work projects, things that you're excited to do, or after this is, as we said, completion is so key and feels so good. It's a bit of a, most people complete the record and they're already on to the next one. I'm not saying you are necessarily, but are you working on anything currently? Or just kind of taking some time again now?
Currently, it's slow because I'm still so hands-on with some of the other process with the album release, like the video and whatnot. But the Daydream Mossy guy, we do plan on getting an EP done and just kind of shelving it.
Cool.
So we have some material that we've been doing studio sessions. Big ups to Interscope for making sure we can go into studios, because that's hard to do. So I'm just like, cool. But we've been just kind of meeting and recording. I've been in chats to do more stuff with Panda Bear, but it's kind of like timing wise, so I'm just making material.
Cool.
I'm hoping though, after I get to finish touring, I can start something up for another record sooner than later.
Do you think you make some music? Do you like to make music when you're touring, or is it's kind of hard?
I don't like it that much, but yeah, it's kind of hard. I like to try to just experience the moments, and when I'm working on music,
it's nice to be comfortable.
Yeah, I'm just more frustrated. I mean, even if I'm at home, when I'm working, I tend to get more frustrated than enjoying the moment. So it's a lot of like weird experimentation, and I don't know. It's just a weird, angry experience. So just I don't want to take that with me on the road. I do tend to bring everything I need, and I do try to at the very least record. Go outside and record, but.
You do make a lot of field recordings, right?
Yeah, I did enjoy that.
Do you have any specific? What do you look for when you do that? I know that sounds like a broad question, but is there anything like textures and like?
It's just
whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, it's just kind of like the being happy with the moment. Like I don't really tend to look for anything specifically unless I'm in the middle of something. I was like, okay, I need this.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if I'm in a different town, it's just turn it on and record and sort through it later.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you use a lot of this on the new record?
Used, not a ton. I mean, a lot, but not like going out around the world and getting it. A lot of it's from the house, really. A lot of just going outside, weird animals that tend to live in LA. And then also with, between that and just my microphone, you can hear my family doing stuff, but like not prominently, but it's in there. And there's you'll hear my wife like working from a different room, or toys dropping, or these kind of like little things. Yeah, there's a bit of that in some of the recordings when I'm playing something.
A tree of the fire of passion. What, where, why? Stop late. Of the ripple aggression. Dreams with no sound, no taste, no touch. Dreams with no sound, no taste, no touch. Dreams with no sound, no taste, no touch. You're dead.
And maybe for old school heads and new school people don't really know, but like tech heads mostly, what kind of production, like what are you using nowadays? Anything new, anything older? If you want to even give that insight.
Yeah, no, it's not exciting. It's just I'm still running Free Loops as the main like house operating system, and I'm just running more instruments through it, really. Like I bought myself a little Mellotron, the D4000, I think, like the medium-sized one. So I bought that one, and that's been my main keyboard, and just trying to make it sound interesting and not trying to rip off like Beatles have done or whatever. And I've been using this like small harp. It's called a Separwa, and a really interesting just African tool. I've been plucking around with that a lot, and just kind of spacing out on this kind of stuff, realizing, oh man, like it's so much fun changing your process, experimentation with instruments and laughing. It's like a lot of the shit I make was really bad, so it's been like really fun to just like wow, and then like work with it, It's been good.
Yeah, eventually it gets better. It starts bad, but the more you get,
which is exciting.
Exactly.
I've been enjoying the whole, every step of it, and luckily you get to see my daughter. Also see like, like say that lesson in life, you know, and then you see a kid trying to run and just eat it, and then you're like, oh, well, if you keep trying, you'll be running too fast pretty soon.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you actually see results from something that has been literally just something as simple as like just trying to learn.
Yeah.
You know, play the same thing for a week straight or whatever. You know, hopefully you get better at it by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And it's a very trippy thing to see that. And the same thing as it comes back to completion. It's like, uh-oh, you can do these things.
Yeah, it's actually not that.
It's not that
crazy of an idea.
And it makes you feel like a kid again, though, because that's all kids do.
Yeah, it's
all we have to do.
Exploration.
Repetition, figure out the right steps.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, it's how many years now on Brain Feeder? You're really one of the first artists on Brain Feeder, obviously. We don't have to get too deep into it, because I feel like everybody knows the groundwork of this world for you. But
10 years up to
10 years? Yeah.
at least. Yeah, 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, right? How that goes.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
And you met Lotus about the same time, 10 years, right?
10 to 12 years ago, maybe. 10, somewhere in that time. I remember it was about the Red Bull, so 11 years ago is when I really met him.
Wow.
Yeah, he wanted to know who was going to Red Bull at that time. And I was one of the guys going to Red Bull.
How was Red Bull? I mean, this is obviously years ago, but like that was probably a life-changing experience, I'm assuming.
Yeah, great program. Torsten, Wolf, big team. But they did a great job getting a lot of kids together from around the world just to kind of experience music kind of in a different way. And also, you know, you get the lectures are amazing too, but you know, everyone's kind of doing their own thing at the end of the day. So unless you're really, really about that one lecturer, it was more about the experience with the kids together. I think that was more.
Yeah. They're definitely cultivating, or they're trying to help cultivate a community of like-minded folk and people who actually maybe just on the cusp of something.
Yeah,
you know,
just inspire you, really.
Yeah.
Just to see people.
It's nice to be around people that are all striving, but also not fighting for the same place. They're just trying to all do the same thing.
Yeah.
And they're not sure if they're going to make it, but to have people really believe in you is a big thing. And I feel like that's not as often as it's a selfless thing that it's not often done anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. But mainly though, the inspiration from other people inspired. You know, you see it, they look crazy. You know, there's something going on in their head, and you're just like, holy, you're not stopping for nobody.
Nope.
That really shakes you.
Yeah, it's interesting when you just see, like, you know, and Lotus is a great person for that as well, where you just see something in someone and wants to help that be more prominent. You know, it's like, I feel like he definitely has a great eye and ear for just people that just are like, you know what? If you just give them a platform, you know, it'll work. That's why, I guess that's why Brain Feeder also exists to a degree. It's like pretty much just wanting to put on his homies who he knows just they should be heard more. And that's kind of Brain Feeder at the end of the day with that. And you got some shows lined up, or you're going to get lined up a lot more too, I know, for next year or the earlier in the year?
Yeah, we're going to actually do some shows throughout November into early December, and Start again February, March, around this time. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what have you been doing with this also now that you've done this? I know you said you've been working this record now since kind of started, you said 2015, 2014?
Yeah, roughly.
And so like with this now it's done, I know we talked about how you're working on new projects and material, but what do you like to do now that you can kind of maybe take a seat back for like a little bit and reflect? Is there anything specific you've been like trying to get, like, thank God I can do this now? Or just kind of right back into the grinder?
Yeah, you know, it's just been making a list of things I'd like to try. So far it's all been working still for the, you know, the tail end of the record, doing I guess interviews and the fun things that come around it. So it's like, alright, getting through that process, and everything else has just been thrown in the bucket, like this will, I'll experiment with that later.
Yep.
So it's a lot of ideas like this, and then, you know, usually when you're you're working so much on one project, one record, a lot of the ideas that don't go into it still kind of resonate with that record. So I'm still kind of piecing some of this stuff and allocating to different projects that can kind of happen now, smaller things and fun things, more experimental. Yeah, so a lot of that. Waiting to find new inspiration though for the next one before I get really going.
Yeah, gotta give it time to breathe for a little bit.
I think it's I think personally I would need it, because I would just make a lot of stuff sounding just like the stuff I'm making now.
I find I'm in the exact same places that I got stuck. That's why I'm like, I'll make a trilogy because I can't just put this in one record. I got stuck in this world and can't get out.
Yeah.
But it's a weird feeling to actually sometimes you absorb it. Actually, you're like, oh, cool. I'm in such a zone. I can't stop making this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like, I can't stop making this.
Yeah.
Like, am I ever going to be able to stop?
Yeah.
It's a wearisome mindset, because then you don't want to fall into that one trick pony sound.
Yeah, you don't want to be stuck at your own diner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Eat the same food every day.
Yeah.
Thank God we don't have to cook. What else is going on? So like the I just had a question for you actually. You're listening to Ninja Tune Podcast featuring Peabody and Teebs.
Nice job.
Is it better to feel invincible than to be burdened by fear? Is it harder to feel love when you don't shed a tear? Courage reveals the love for our lives. How is it the thought someday we'll die? Does the light need dark to shine? Does one feel the cold? Sometimes is it better to feel invincible than to be burdened by fear?
Artwork for the record.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that, buddy.
That's good topic.
Yeah, let's get it, baby.
So all of my albums, I've tried to do my own artwork. This is the first record that I felt the music ventured off so far in a way that was collaborative and unique, and so I wanted to continue that process by honoring so many guests. There's about at least 10, and honoring all how different they are, like it's just so amazing to me. So I decided to try to do take one of my personal paintings I made and turn it into a piece of glasswork. And I was hoping to take lessons and start doing the glass myself, or at least just the soldering and whatnot, but it didn't work out in my favor with timing and everything going on. So I went to probably the next best or even better thing. I went to a good friend, Megan, who's been doing glass pieces, and I asked her if she would be interested in doing my work in glass. And yeah, we chatted, went through all the stuff she had stored, and it even got more personal. Some of the glasses from a vase her grandma broke, that she kept for years, and she was like, has some flower patterns on it. That's part of the painting, and so we used that as well, and so it had some meaning to her even. And I just figured us picking glass, it kind of represented different people that are in the record as well, and also representing the whole record itself. So yeah, we went there, and it was beautiful to see, that process of getting something changed. And actually it was a painting that had a bunch of different colors blending together. So we are, not me and Megan, but me and an artist that I've been kind of working with here and there for just making enamel pins. We've designed it down into like a less, instead of like a multicolored blending thing, just a few colors, like say you would do for printing shirts. And so we got a nice layer of colors that we can definitely use, and that's what we sent over to Megan and sat down and found glass and put it together. Really cool process to see, and all the changing, it doesn't look like the painting, but it does, It's just really cool.
And how long did it take that whole process to go down?
Once I figured out I wanted to do glass, that was pretty quick. A couple weeks, Once you get the glass, we already had the art done, so it's just actually just copying the thing, and maybe took her a little bit to make sure she got the cuts right, because some of the wiggly parts are a little funky with glass, and we had to decide on some things that can't work in glass, so we had to kind of change the design slightly here and there in little parts, but other than that, it was pretty quick. And then I had this thing, it's really crazy. Really. Yeah.
Sunset, daughter calling, new breath, sun falling, keep calling, keep call. Sunset, daughter calling, new breath, sun falling, keep calling. Yeah, my nigga gon' get it, regardless we get it, new garden, new feeling. Daughter living, caught up feeling that's peace at ease. Wonder where we be in another week. See, I've been on my feet, checking and driving, hustling. Honest, I hit the door when it's knocking. It enter back in the garden. The flowers, walls, and these problems. My shawty on me, hands on me. That's peace at ease. That's peace at ease. And she's still a queen with the makeup or weave. We still in the sheets. What Trey say? Hey, I don't want to leave, but I gotta go flee. Pray for me, pray for you, pray for me. Pray for you, pray for me, pray.
You have beautiful vinyl coming out. What does it look like? And it's purple.
Yeah, I got it from I think it was what's it called? It was some metal band. They had this really cool marbled purple kind of tone going, and I was just like, man, I love that look, So I was just like, okay. I want to do something that also kind of looks reflective. I didn't want to be too literal and do something that looks like water or something, but I wanted some kind of flowy thing. And so, yeah, we went with that purple and black marble with the in-sleeve full printed on. More of the glass, and then the glass itself as the cover, but kind of designed differently, so we kind of moved some of the lines around, or not moved them around, but instead of having dark solder lines, turned them all white. And so it kind of just focused on the glass.
I like that. Looks beautiful.
Pretty good. Yeah, I'm really happy about it.
So I guess one more question, as I just kind of get it flowing, is now you've kind of opened up a world of new editions of collaborations and a kind of a more intensified collaborative experience. Do you find that you might keep going in that world? You might step back a bit and go more personal into solo, not to say solo, but kind of just back to the
just being solo. I think I'll do both. I really want to continue to collaborate. I think this definitely opened the doors, and I'm even hoping to see how far I can take that. Dilute the one person's idea even more into a greater cause. How can I continue to be of service? That's me.
Dingleberry.
That's my car timer. But yeah, I want to do that as much as I possibly can, but at the same time, I think it's good to spend time by yourself, and so should my music. It just depends on where the projects are at.
Yep.
What's coming up first, but I'd like to do both.
Cool. Well, Ninja Tune podcasters, I think that is it for today. Again, Teebs, his new album, Anika, is out.
Coming out.
October 25th on Brain Feeder. Shout out to Brain Feeder, always.
Shout out to Brain Feeder.
My name is Peabody. Thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for the magical sounds of Teebs. Bada bing, bada boom. Goodbye.
If I tell you these things, I hope you remain tall. I hope you do not fall. I just want you to know. If I tell you these things, I'm not perfect at all. Wasn't looking for love, but I pray for someone. Will you confide in me? Do you believe in me? Thought this was just a fling. Now I want it all. Now I can't let you down. Will you still fuck with me? So much anxiety running deep inside me. Push me out in the seas. Watch me eventually. All them laughing at me. I just want y'all to know